that takes place during the process. Okay, so we have different software development models. Okay, we have a total of 7 models in software development, and the waterfall model is the popular model of the system, and it's very simple to use and understand. And in this waterfall model, generally each phase must be completed before the next phase. We're going to run through it. Now we have the V model, the incremental model, the ROD model, the agile model, and even the iterative model. And the iterative model as well too. So quickly, we're just going to run through the waterfall methodology. Now, the waterfall methodology is a product management approach, okay? And it's also used in managing project as well too, that usually emphasizes on a linear progression, okay, from beginning of the project to the end of the project. And this methodology often is used by engineers and is loaded carefully, okay? So also, it follows a particular adage that, I think it's a common adage, measure twice and cut once. And the source of the waterfall method depends on the amount and quality of the work done on the front end as well too. So you're just going to run through 5 common stages in the waterfall process. 5 common stages in the waterfall process. Sorry. Okay. Now, usually it starts from the requirements. I usually call it the requirements analysis. Then we have the system design, the implementation. We have the verification, and as well as the deployment and maintenance. Good. So this basically, they are more like a chronological process that works based on fixed dates, requirements, and outcome. Now, with this method, the individual execution team, they are not really required to be in constant communication, okay? And probably unless maybe specific integrations are required, okay? And this method is usually self-contained, okay? It doesn't really require meeting up every day and all of that, just like it is with the agile approach. Now, the way it works, basically, one phase does not begin until the previous one is finished, okay? Until the previous one is finished. Now, we're just going to look at the software development project, and we're actually basing this on software development life cycle. And we'll look at the requirements, the design, like I said, the system design, the implementation, the verification, or the testing, and as well as the deployment and maintenance. Now, for the requirements, basically, it's the initial step in waterfall model, and all possible requirements of the system to be developed are captured in this phase, okay? And well documented in the requirement specification document. So usually that's our PROD, our product requirement document. And in this step, the user demands the entire requirement for the software development as well too. So the product sponsors requirement, or you can call it the product requirement document, is usually contained in a single document, and these are used to describe each stage of the product as well too, okay, including cost and a whole lot of other things. So this is where the requirement falls in like everything that is required for the product to run. I think if you understand what PROD is properly, you get this whole glimpse very well. PROD is a product requirement document, and that's where everything is, everything that is required for the product to move from ideation to maintainability, or let's say move from ideation to production, okay? That's everything contained in the PROD. Now let's move to the other one, the system design. Now this is the second step in waterfall model, and this system design helps in specifying hardware and system requirements, okay? And it helps in defining the overall system architecture. At this phase, software developers design a technical solution to the problem set out by the product requirements, and it includes scenarios, layouts, and data models, okay? First, a higher level of a logical design is created that describe the purpose and the scope of the project, okay? Now, the general traffic flow of each component and as well as the integration point. So once this is complete, it is transformed into a physical design, okay, using specific hardware and software technology. So that's just a whole bunch of things we're talking about here. The system design helps in specifying the hardware and the system requirements, and it helps in defining the overall system architecture. Let's move on to the next one, the implementation. Now, in this stage, very important part of the waterfall model, okay, after the requirements and the design, the next step is implementation with inputs from the system design. The system is first developed in small programs called units, which are integrated in the next phase. Okay. Now, once the design is complete, the technical implementation starts, and this might be the shortest phase of the waterfall process because we spend a lot of time probably doing research and design that have already been done. And in this phase, the developers or the programmers, this is where they get their hands on work and they code the application based on the product requirements, document, and the specification. And also, we probably carry out some light testing, some testing and implementation as well too. So also, if significant changes are required during this stage, sometimes you may have to go back to the design phase and probably start to, I call it tweaking the whole design process again. Okay, you go back to design phase and try to work things out again before you come back. So there is a little back and forth at that point. Now, like I said, each unit is developed and tested for its functionality, which is referred to as unit testing. Now, in testing, we have a lot of testing, testing mode. We'll talk about that in more class to come. And the main purpose of this step is to execute the program. And not just to execute the program, is to make sure that the program is running efficiently. Okay, to make sure that every single integration is running efficiently. So let's move on to the other one, the verification or the testing. Okay. Now, in these steps, the entire system will be tested for any faults and failures. Okay, once the functional and non-functional testing is done, the product is deployed in the customer environment or released to the market. Before a product can be released to customers, testing needs to be done to ensure that the product has no errors and all of the requirements have been completed, okay, ensuring a good user experience with the software. So the testing team, we turn to the design document rather, and the personas and user case scenarios are supplied by the product manager to create their test cases. So that's the job of the testing team. So we make reference to all these materials and everything to create a proper test case. So let's move on to this. It's very, very essential. The testing and verification is very, very essential because we've seen situations where a product that is not well tested we go into the market and cause a whole lot of stuff. And I think there is one particular product, I've forgotten the exact name, that happened some years ago. And it led to, I think, a failure in a medical software that led to death of a whole lot of people that they use that procedure for. So it's very, very essential that testing is done properly. Now let's move on to the next stage, the deployment and the maintenance stage now. Okay, this is the last step. And in this last step, there are some issues which come up in the client environment. Okay, in this step, this issue will be fixed. Patches are released, maintenance is done to deliver these changes in the customer environment. Once the software has been deployed in the market or released to customer, the maintenance phase begins. Okay, you don't really wait for, it's not like should I say, like a physical engine that you have to wait for something to happen first. The maintenance begins already. Okay, as defects are found and change requests come from the user, that's feedback from the user, a team will be assigned to take care of all this update and release new versions of this software. I think usually in our common day approach, you get to see that a lot of softwares that we use, let's say for instance now fintech softwares, you might just log in today and tomorrow you'll be notified that okay, a new update has been done already. Now all of this does not affect the existing software. Basically, it's just probably one or two efficient feature that is added to it, or one or two things that it's not running very, very well. Sometimes it might not be noticeable by the user, it might be noticeable by the team, or sometimes because of our backlog prioritization, this old stuff might just be something that we look forward to adding to the complete software, the software that has been shipped already. So when we do that, it's just to make the customer gain more value and all of that. So that's how the maintenance work basically now. Now, the waterfall methodology is a very straightforward, well-designed product management methodology with proven track record. Okay, since the requirements are clearly laid out from the beginning, each contributor must know what must be done, when and how, and they can effectively plan their time for the duration of this product. There are quite a lot of advantages for this, and as well as disadvantages for the waterfall model. We're just going to run through the advantages now. Now, the model is simple and it's very easy to understand and use. Like I said earlier, it is easy to manage due to the rigidity of the model. Each phase has specific deliverables and a review process now. Now, in this model, phases are processed and completed one at a time. Phases do not overlap. And the waterfall model works well for smaller projects, basically, and where requirements are very understood, okay? And also, developers can catch the design errors during the analysis and design stage, helping them to probably avoid writing faulty codes during the implementation phase. So in the design phase, the developers can actually see what is wrong, and this will help to avoid wasting time in implementing all these designs and all of that. And also the total cost of the product can actually be accurately estimated, okay? And also the timeline after the requirements has been defined. So when we define the requirements in our PROD, our product requirement document, we can actually calculate the cost of this whole thing and how much time we're going to spend. Now, summary of what we've been saying so far, the waterfall model is a very easy to use model that each step must be completed before the next step. So it's a defined process, just like a waterfall. When we say real life simulation of waterfall, before it gets to level, let's say we have 10 levels from the peak to the base of a cliff, for instance. Now, from that point A to point D, let's say point D, the water must run through point A before it gets to point B, point C, point D, and all of it now. So there's no way the water will run from point A and jump to point D. It must pass through all these processes. So that is how it is here. We pass through all these steps very well to get to production, from the ideation, gathering of all the information, that's the requirement needed for the product, to production, shipping the product, and finally maintaining the product. Okay. Another advantage of the waterfall model is developers who join this project in progress can easily get up to speed, because everything they need to know is already in the requirement document. So even if you have a team where, okay, maybe as the project is going, something comes up and you are running short of hands on the project. If you bring in somebody, the product requirement document would easily guide the person to join the product development. So it will not be so difficult for an engineer to join in the product, okay, because everything is spelled out completely. Another advantage is that customers are not really always adding new requirements to the product, okay, delaying production in this method, basically. So it's a straight method. You take your time to gather all the information you need, although it has a disadvantage, and we'll discuss that shortly. You gather all your requirements, and boom, you get to action and you deliver all of this now. Now, let's look at some of the disadvantages of the waterfall model. Like any development process, the strength in one area might also mean weakness in another area. And the waterfall methodology insists on upfront product planning and commitment of a certain defined progress means that it is not agile. That is to say, it is less flexible. And just so in case later in the game, if there are changes, if changes pops up, if the problem changes, if there's a little changes to the problem that is meant to be solved, now these changes come further in the processes and can be time consuming, because we have to go back all of the model does not encourage us to go back and forth. It does not encourage us to go back and forth. So we have to start all over again. The model is built for get everything ready and start running. Don't stop at any point. Just start running and everything until you don't stop until you've delivered the product. So let's look at some of the disadvantages clearly. Now, once an application is in the testing stage, it is very difficult to go back, just like I said, and change something that was not well thought out in the concept stage. Okay. Another one, no working software is produced until late during the life cycle. Okay. Also, high amount of risk and uncertainty, and it is not a good model for complex and object-oriented projects. Okay. So let's look at it again. I said once the application is in the testing stage, it is very difficult to go back. That is to say that once we've implemented all our designs, we implemented everything, and we're already testing them out, it is not so easy to go back and start all over again. And also, no working software is produced until late during the life cycle. Now, this late during the life cycle, we're looking at after testing, on like the agile method. Okay, we can build bits, have little sprints and all of that. We can build bits, have little sprints and everything, and still roll out some versions of the software for testing. That's in the agile methodology. Now, it's not a good model for complex and object-oriented projects. It's not a good model for complex and object-oriented project. That is for large, if you're building large-scale applications or large-scale solutions, the waterfall model, it's not really something that you should employ. And if you're building something that is subject to modification or is a spontaneous area that the problem today might have increased, or there might have been a competition in the market that is already solving something that you need to improve on. So you need to keep your eye on the goal, and the goal is the customer. So this method does not encourage anything of such. Okay, and also some other disadvantages that it's not listed here. The project can take longer to deliver with this chronological approach. Okay, and also clients often don't fully know what they want at the front and opening the door to request for changes. And new features better in this process when they are added to accommodate. Okay, so clients are not involved in the design and implementation stage. So usually this waterfall method is just tailored at the product team. The clients are not involved, customers are not involved. We just build for them, and with the hope of, okay, we're solving the defined product or defined problem already. At the end of the day, it should meet value. But sometimes the solution we are actually rolling out might not be something that is covering everything. So we have to go back again. So you can imagine the cost and everything, cost in resources and time and everything that we might have put in, and we have to go back again and start from the beginning. Okay, so we'll look at who uses the waterfall model. Like when do we have to use the waterfall model? Just we have highlighted the disadvantages. Now, okay, sorry, I think a part of the disadvantages here, we also have a poor model for long and ongoing projects, and it's not suitable for projects where requirements are moderate to high risk of changing. I already said that spontaneous projects that are subject to high risk of changing. So let's look at the use of waterfall model. Now, this model is used only when requirements are very well known, clear, and fixed. Okay, the product definition is stable. Well, what do I mean by this? It means that when we are only to use the waterfall model when what we are building is stable. The products, the value we are rolling out, the solutions we're building, the solution the product manager wants to roll out, or that the firm wants to roll out, is defined. You know that nothing is going to change in this now. It's a defined solution, it's a defined value. Okay, you can employ the waterfall model. And also when the technology is understood, okay, the technology behind the whole solution is understood, And also when there are no ambiguous requirements, when it's something we can actually undo, when ample resources with required expertise are available freely. So also, I think one of the most important uses of the waterfall model is when the project we're working on is very short. It's not something that will take so much of our time and all of it. So we can actually use the waterfall model for that. So another one again is when we offer a clear picture of how things should be from the start. I already said that in the product definition. And when we have clients who seem unlikely to change the scope, when we have everything agreed with the client from the beginning that this is how it's going to be, like nothing is going to change all through the process, we understand the product very well, we can use the waterfall model to avoid other things. Okay. All right. Now, so we'll look at other things in the waterfall model. Okay, there are differences between the waterfall model and the agile approaches, and we'll look at when design can change in the waterfall model. This is more like an introduction into the waterfall methodology. So in our next video, in our next class, we're just going to be talking about the agile in waterfall model. Okay, more like we're integrating the agile methodology in the waterfall methodology. And aside that too, we'll also look at some other factors as well too in using the waterfall model. Then we'll look at real life examples of the waterfall model as well too. Products that use the waterfall model as well too. We'll look at all of these things. Then we look at understanding user ideas, user needs, and competitive and market analysis. So we'll be able to write a clear competitive and market analysis, and as well as understanding user stories and all of that. So majorly, just set your mind on real-world examples of waterfall and agile methodology and how to integrate agile methodology in the waterfall. So if we have any questions, we can actually share our questions now. Okay. Okay, if you have any question, just drop your question in the chat.
Okay. Okay, all right. I think one question just came in.
Okay. Somebody said, okay, this is from Adeyinka Adebola. Can a project combine the use of both waterfall and agile methodology? Yes. And I said that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at that in our next class. Agile methodology in waterfall. So we're integrating agile methodology in waterfall. So there is nowhere that states that you only use one methodology. So you use it as it suits the team and the product you're building, as well as the time frame and everything for that product. So it depends on how you want to use. If you want to combine a whole lot of methodology, that's fine. So we'll look at that. Okay, someone said, this is from a Colade, which is better, agile or waterfall? So I will not say agile is better than waterfall, and I will not say waterfall is better than agile, but because of the complexity of products and because of the resources, limited resources as well too, and because of the spontaneity of solutions, of value solutions, I would say agile is better off because agile gives you the privilege of modifying things even before you get to shipping. Okay, so it saves a lot of cost, and it's really more encouraging. But like I said, there are some times where you have to employ the waterfall model. So we'll learn more about using the two as well too. Okay. Right. I think, okay, we have just a few minutes.
Yeah, we have just a few minutes. So guys, if you have any questions, please ask your questions now. if there are no questions within next minute to be rounding off this class, if you understood the session, go on to say yes, you understood in the chat room. And if you don't understand, go on to ask your questions.
Okay, so we have another question here. We have another question from Mickey. It says, can anything limit or disrupt the flow of the waterfall? Of course, of course. Now, for instance, let's say you are at implementation stage and something changes. Let's say you're adding some new features or some features that will probably change the complete architecture of the project. So it means that at that stage, you will not be able to implement that. It means that we have to pause the old stuff and go back again. So imagine after spending a whole lot of time doing all of this, we have to go back again and start from. So the waterfall model does not encourage something like this, basically. It's a straight model. I think when we start doing all of these little changes, we're already implementing the agile methodology. We'll learn more about that. I really don't want to go deep into that for now, so we can actually get everything once when I dish that out in our next class. All right. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions for now. So the take home is for the waterfall model, like I said, is a straight model where we just start. It's just like kicking and starting your car engine, and not stopping until you get to your destination. So in case you're driving and somebody is telling you, oh, I forgot this back there, I forgot this back there, oh, I need to go pick this, you're not going back, because when you're going back, that's not the waterfall model. Waterfall model, you start and you don't stop until you finish. And I said we have five stages in it, from the requirement analysis, running through the system design to the implementation and the verification and testing, and as well as the maintenance, that's at production, deployment, and maintenance. So these are the stages basically for the waterfall model. Let's call these stages the bus stop. These are the bus stop that you get to. You get to one before you get to the other, like that, before you get to the final one, which is maintenance and deployment and maintenance. So that's all for today. In our next class, like I said, we're going to talk about agile in waterfall, as well as a whole lot of other information. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much, Fega, for making our time and joining this class. So guys, we'll be having a class on Wednesday. I know this is upsetting your normal Saturday, Sunday class, but we'll still maintain a Saturday, Sunday class for next week. But for the continuation of this particular class, the waterfall is going to be on Wednesday, 6 p.m. It will be created latest tomorrow morning in the events channel, so that you can go and click interested and you get a notification when this class starts on Wednesday, 6 p.m. But also messages will be dropped in your room, your track rooms, so that you know when this class is going to start. But we're going to have the completion of this class Wednesday, 6 p.m. this week. Thank you so much. Sorry for the inconveniences. Thank you so much, Fega, for being on this call. We learned a lot. Okay. Can anyone hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, somebody said thank you, Mr. Tega. It's not Tega, it's Fega, F-E-G-A, not C-G-A. Yes, it's Fega. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, good night.